Today I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to be taking my videos to the next level, giving them a little bit more of a polished look. Oh wow, I've actually never seen that bird in this area before. That's incredible. Anyway, hang on, where? Hey! Hi guys, and thanks for tuning in. Here it is. This is the Zhiyun crane M2S, and I'm going to be using it in conjunction with my Sony ZV-1, or ZV-1 for my friends over there in the US. But before I begin this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to the team at Pergear, who were very kind to send me out this review sample of the crane M2S. Now, Pergear aren't paying me any money to do this video, so any sort of opinions or findings I've got of this gimbal are mine alone. As most of you know who have watched my channel for some time now, my camera of choice when vlogging out in location is the Sony ZV-1. However, with the ZV-1, there are just two things that kind of annoy me a little bit about it. Number one is the inbuilt stabilization isn't the best for when you're walking along talking to the camera. In fact, in one of my vlogs doing a sunrise with my Nikon Z7, the bits I filmed walking along talking to the camera were just unusable, and I ended up having to revert to using voiceover to intro that video. Now, the second thing, even though I do have those long go-go gadget arms, sometimes even at 24mm and due to cropping in 4K and adding the inbuilt active mode image stabilization, the camera does end up getting a little bit too close to my face. So instead of scaring the whole planet with close-ups of my face, I'd rather have that camera away from me a bit and also be able to show more of the surroundings I'm filming in. This crane M2S gimbal well and truly fixes those couple of issues I've got with the Sony ZV-1. Anyway, let's go out and have a play. I'll show you how it fixes those issues and we'll have some fun while we're at it. I just want to take you through what's on the gimbal itself. So on the back here, we've got our little joystick. Basically that controls your gimbal going up and down and also left to right. So very easy to use. Now, the other thing is we've got our little mode button. If I step through the modes here, we've got, that's pan follow, that's lock. Next is follow. So if you start tilting up, you can basically see whatever the gimbal angle is looking at. Now, once you get to follow, if you tap on that mode button twice, it goes into POV mode. Another 2 taps and it goes into vertical mode. So what happens is the gimbal is now facing straight up. And then what you can do is use that gimbal in more of an underslung mode, and then you start spinning it around type of thing. Now, I'm not going to show you the footage of that because every time I see it, it kind of makes me a little bit dizzy. So trust me, you get that Inception type movie look where it's spinning around. On this side of the gimbal, we've actually got a light switch. There's the little light right there. You don't have to put an external light onto your gimbal anymore. You also get little colored gels that go over top of the light. I think you get blue, yellow, orange, and red. I've actually used this little light at night and it works absolutely brilliantly. So when you're vlogging in low light conditions, a lot like I do, say you're doing sunsets or sunrises, this little light on this gimbal is fantastic. The light has 5 different modes of brightness. All you got to do is flip up on that side button there to the different modes of brightness. I literally only use this gimbal on brightness 1 because, trust me, by the time you get to number 5, it's like looking into the sun. On the back of the gimbal here, you'll notice there's a little USB-C port. You can actually plug your cameras into the side of the gimbal and that will power your cameras, as well as using this button here, you can basically go into record. So you don't have to touch your camera in any sort of way. You can just leave it and you can control it from the gimbal itself. On this side, we've got our power up and power off switch. Down here is the menu button. And on this side, you'll see there's a USB-C charging port. That is for the internal battery. The internal battery takes about an hour and a half to charge, and the gimbal will last you about 10 hours. Now that is all depending on the type of cameras that you use on this gimbal. The other thing you get with the gimbal is this little tripod. Fantastic, comes in handy if you really need to put it down, but if you don't want it, just have it like that. It works out perfectly in your hand. The other thing on a gimbal, you've got a 1/4-20 thread. That's for mounting things like if you do want another external light, maybe you've got an external recorder, even external audio, you'd be able to put it onto there. On the front of the gimbal, you have this trigger. So for example, you're in pan follow mode, click on that trigger 3 times, 1, 2, 3. It then spins around and you can start vlogging with the camera, or you go 1, 2, 3, and it goes back into the other position. Also on the gimbal, you've got locks for when you need to travel with it. You can put it into your camera bag, no problem at all. One other mode I should show you also is if you hold the trigger down, it goes into go mode. I think that's for if you're using it for action and you really want to get around type of thing and move everywhere. It kind of like goes and follows, but it follows in a very smooth type of action. So yeah, you let go of the trigger and it'll go back into the mode that you're in. The other thing about the tripod legs you get with this gimbal, it actually extends the handle. So if you need to vlog, you can actually hold the camera further away from your face. Now that was one problem I had with the ZV-1. It was too close to my face. This solves that. Speaking of which as well, when you take the ZV-1 out of active stabilization mode, put it onto something like standard, that will also give you a wider picture. So that's really awesome. When you're walking, you can now see much more of the background. Okay, so this is what it's like vlogging with the ZV-1. I've got the active steady shot turned on inside the camera. I'm at 24mm. And you can see as I'm walking along, we've got those little type of micro jitters. It's not the best. It's okay, it's not that bad. But like I said, early that morning when I was trying to use this and I had the light on top of the camera, when I tried to post-stabilize that, I was getting this really bad jello type effect in the corners and it was just unusable. Now here's the same shot using the gimbal, and as I said, I've got that little tripod foot on this gimbal, gives me a little bit more latitude for going out wider. Also, I've switched the camera back over to active, no, not active, it's now on standard IBIS inside the ZV-1. But you can see now, you can see a lot more around and the camera is not as close to my face, which I'm kind of happy about. You can buy the Zhiyun crane M2S as a standard kit where you get just the gimbal itself and other standard accessories. Or you can buy the combo kit where you get a bag for carrying around the gimbal and its accessories, plus a universal phone holder in case you wanted to use your phone on the gimbal. I've used my iPhone on this gimbal and the results are fantastic, especially when you're using the wide angle lens. So this is what it's like using the iPhone on the crane M2S, and on wide angle, you can see you get this huge surrounds type of thing. So if you're ever in a really beautiful vista, this would be the way to go. But yeah, you still get that really nice, smooth, steady shot with this. For me, however, I think I'd be staying with the standard kit version of this crane M2S, which retails for about $269 US, and I'd be saving my money on the combo kit. The bag you get in the combo version, I can certainly vouch, it's extremely well made, lightweight with nice internal layout, little compartments everywhere, quality zippers and side pockets. But I don't really need it for 2 reasons. Firstly, I already own a camera bag and this gimbal fits absolutely perfect into one of the side pockets, so it's really easy and convenient for me to get it out, set it up and start filming. Secondly, the bag is just a tad too feminine for my liking, I think, but that's just me. I mean, you might like it. Hey, whatever floats your boat. But the last thing I'd be doing is whacking that on my back and walking into an Australian pub. So yes, for me personally, I would be sticking with the standard crane M2S kit version for this gimbal. And speaking of buying this gimbal, if you are interested, what I've done is I've left some Amazon links in the description box below, so you can click on and order at your leisure. In the 2 weeks I tested this gimbal, I found it very user-friendly, and this is coming from a guy who hasn't used many gimbals in his lifetime. The balancing of the camera took a little getting used to, but I pretty much mastered that after a couple of days of practice. The things I love most when it comes to this gimbal is the fact I can now vlog to my camera without looking like I'm in a magnitude 7 earthquake. And importantly, I can get buttery smooth cinematic B-roll happening in my videos. Is it worth the $269 US you pay for the kit version? Well, in my mind and after testing it, yes, absolutely. Here's a little cinematic clip I put together using the Crane M2S and the Sony ZV-1. Again, I just want to say a big thank you to the team at Pergear for supplying me this Crane M2S to review for this video. Well, thank you so much for watching. As I always say, never stop creating, and I'll see you next time.